Hey, everybody, welcome to the All 22 Deep Dive. We are going to do a little film study on that amazing overtime win in Starkville, Mississippi. Hey, there's another amazing place that you need to go. More amazing than even beautiful Starkville. That's inside Texas. It is the repository of the best Longhorn information and discussion on the internet. You can join for $1 American. Is that a deal or is that a deal, Ian Boyd?
The way the season's going, it's going to become more of a suppository.
On that excellent note, let's watch a little film. All right, Ian and beloved watchers. First quarter, 1st and 15, 4:34 on the clock. Ball in the Texas 32. And we're going to scheme up one of a couple of coverage sacks or near sacks that we had in the first quarter. I think this is an example of needless complexity. And it's one of the things I've been complaining about in the offense. Ian, I want to show you what happens here on this pull protection. So watch our guy, DJ Campbell here. We're going to pull him from a side where there's four old Mississippi State defenders. And we've got basically three linemen starting at the center to block. Why would you want to pull a blocker away from the overload? Well, because that's the call, and we got to give a look. It's going to confuse Mississippi State a lot, except it doesn't.
I will say they probably needed DJ Campbell on the left to effectively block this, because if it were just up to tight end Shannon, 83, there's going to be pressure in Manning's face. The problem is that they also needed DJ Campbell on the other side and pretty much everywhere else.
Well, one rule of pass protection, you want to block inside out. That's your level. That's your prioritization, your hierarchy of prioritization.
Yeah.
And what we allowed was a very big guy out here on the end to go basically untouched into Arch Manning, who by pure athleticism and awareness plants and goes, oh my God, I got to get this out. And this guy pulls off a pretty athletic play just to twist his body and get it out to Wisner. It's still ends up as a negative play, but it's not a full-on disastrous sack. But I consider this scheming yourself into a sack. This is needless complexity. There is no false key, or we're not putting anyone in conflict. No one cares about any of this action. They've identified that our offensive line and our scheme can't block, and they're bringing people. And sometimes you just need to have Occam's razor for some of this stuff.
Well, Paul, the power run game.
We
the
did
power run game. They were worried about the power run game, right?
What you could see how they hesitated based on our action.
Otherwise, Texas might run power to Trey Wisner behind a wall of blocks. You got to watch out for that.
We could drop a 1.5 yard power run on you at any time, and you better be ready for it.
I do think this may have been one of the early snaps that led to Brooks getting pulled in this game, because you notice the big guy that gets the near sack. He goes around and finds Robertson, and he's like, "Oh, just keep going, find the next guy." And
so Brooks is engaged that whole time.
Yeah, but
ideally he could have passed off to Gooseby, but again, you're asking your tackle on the left side to down block to a lineman 2 gaps over. You're asking Brooks to, Ian, the point of the needless complexity is you're asking a series of very difficult things for an offensive line that's already struggling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we can sit here and say, well, he should have done. The point is you're setting them up to fail, and stuff like this, these kinds of pull protections are almost guaranteeing failure. It's really pretty miraculous Arch Manning got this ball out at all.
What makes pull protections really good, and the reason why you want them in the playbook, is that when you're pulling in the run game and running people over, then it freezes everybody up.
Yes.
And as you noted, no one is frozen. They're bringing an all-out blitz. They're completely unafraid of Texas's run game. Why should they be?
There's a lot of whiteboard philosophy happening still in this offense that doesn't match up to what's happening on the field.
Well, Paul, here's a better thing that happened in the game. It's the third quarter. 2nd and 9, 12:58 on the Texas 39, and they're going to throw a very simple perimeter screen from a spread formation. Those are allowed. You are allowed to deploy Texas high school football talent in spread schemes after they leave high school. You are allowed to throw to fast people. You don't have to make them master route running. You can just throw it to them at a virtual standstill and get them into space and let them see if they can do something. That's what Texas does here, and it goes really, really well. Imagine that, throwing a slip screen to a fast guy against a team that's blitzing.
You can just do things. So I want to highlight some really good blocks here, Ian. Trevor Gooseby, terrific block off the edge. And that is one thing that Trevor has great athleticism. He's got great feet. That's a nightmare to have a guy like Trevor Gooseby show up if you're a defensive back. 6'7" guy with good feet. You're not going to be able to get away from him. And this little DB basically gets, you ever seen someone get thrown out of saloon doors? He staggers back like 12 yards and Gooseby does his job. And then you get a really nice block upfield at the point of attack by Jack Endries. See up the very top of the screen near the line marker. That's Jack Endries, and he's going to be sticky. And one thing I love about Endries that we noticed early is that he fights, man. He brings it. And he does a great job of then running with this guy as he disengages. He doesn't just bump him and say, I did my job. He says, I'm going to continue run on you and get tangled up in your legs and screen you as Wingo powers through. And then finally, maybe the back view will give you a better perspective on Connor Stroh here. Not quite as quick as Gooseby out to the screen, but Wingo is going to use Stroh as a meat shield because Stroh's actually not going to really get the block, but Wingo's going to maneuver so that the guy has to run into Stroh. I really love what Wingo does here, sort of cutting subtly across. Watch this. So you're going to see Gooseby get a great kick out. Here's Stroh. Do-doop, do-doop, do-doop. And Wingo's going to say, all right, I've got a decision to make. I'm going to cut inside and make this guy deal with Stroh. Stroh doesn't really get much of a piece of him, but it's just enough.
The anticipation of that collision definitely helped.
Agreed. And
yeah.
Wingo is not fully able to gear up and house this, right? Because he did have to round that corner, to take that angle and then try to get upfield and burst. Didn't quite have it, but a really successful play and a really good way of dealing with a six-man blitz.
So what you're saying is move Ryan Wingo to running back.
Yes, that is the takeaway. I want to show you the power of AJ Milwee being up in the booth, Ian. Fourth quarter, 3rd and 10, 14:27 on the clock. The ball's on the Texas 35, and we ain't winning right now. But Arch Manning is about to pull some stuff out of his behind. We've got trips up at the top of the screen, and we're going to run one of our famous over routes. And this route is going to work, but it's going to happen because Arch Manning is able to buy himself time. Rolling to his left, he's going to set himself, and he's going to throw a nice ball to Wingo.
He could have thrown that. He could have given that a little more air, Paul.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The armchair commentators think he could have thrown a little more on that because he had such ideal throwing conditions. But yes, that's true. If he'd hit Wingo a little more in stride, it's a touchdown. But I think Arch did good stuff here. You're going to notice that Mississippi State's going to suggest that they're bringing the house. They're actually going to drop 2 out, but they're still going to have 5 guys in the rush. And it's going to give us a little trouble. We're going to give up some pressure, not immediate pressure, although Connor Stroh, as you'll see on the different view, does his best to allow some immediate pressure. But Ian, as we've said, when it's only one guy that's free, we still have a shot. Watch Connor Stroh here. Oh, not ideal. Hey, Trevor Gooseby actually blocks 2 guys here. He does a hell of a job. He blocks the guy head up on him, and then he goes and actually lunges and helps Stroh because it's almost like he's anticipating Stroh getting beaten inside. Stroh goes and decides he's going to go double team and help the center. It's another example of our slide protection. I'm not going to go on a rant about that, but This is Arch Manning being an athlete from the spread.
He did a good job, too, of knowing where he would have space to get out, where he would have his check down, although they cover that, and then hits the bomb. This was huge game-changing play. I think this is basically what started the turning of the tide. After this, they stopped with all the max protect shots like this, but they actually did hit this one first, and it was really just because Manning made it work.
All right, we're in overtime. Matthew Caldwell has come in fresh off the bench, and he's just going to throw the game-winning touchdown coolly after making an audible, Ian, as you'd expect your backup quarterback to do. But it's 2nd and 8, 0 on the clock, obviously, because we're in overtime. Ball's on the Mississippi State 10. This is the game winner to Emmett Mosley. I want you to do a quick box count of Mississippi State Bulldogs between the hashes, Ian. How many we got in there?
9.
9 times. 9. And so what Caldwell's going to see is he's got an RPO tag, and he's going to say, well, I think we just need to audible this thing into a fade because I've got single coverage. Those Mississippi State linebackers or safeties aren't going to be able to get out there to help. And we've got Wingo on the top running a Wingo route. And we've got Mosley down at the bottom who's just going to run a fade. And this guy, Coldwell, is going to come in and just as cool as the other side of the pillow, throw a nice little ball that the only human being on the planet who can catch this is Mosley. Any thoughts on this one, Ian?
You noticed when he threw it was really nice. Like he throws in anticipation. He doesn't wait to see if it worked. And that was pretty clutch in fitting it into the window, timing-wise. Now,
Mosley makes a hell of a catch here, too.
The only thing I will caution people is that Matty Ice, as some have called him, he's very experienced in this sort of system where you have a run game and then you count the numbers and then you throw outside when there's advantages. But Paul, are teams going to respect the Texas run game and give him easy shots like this very often in future games?
Mississippi State sure did.
Mississippi State did.
I think old Coleman Hutzler would like to have this call back if he could have it. 9 between the hashes, no help outside. And, maybe it's just calling the bluff. Hey, they've got their sub in. They're scared to throw the ball. They're scared to put the game in his hands. We were not scared to put the game in his hands. And I think the interesting thing about Caldwell is if you look at his history, he does seem pretty proficient in the RPO game.
Yeah.
And one of the things about play action is there have been studies done on this. I didn't really tease apart these studies. I don't know their veracity, but there were studies done in the NFL. So I don't know if this applies to college that suggests that even running play action when your run game is unsuccessful will still elicit the same responses from the defense as if your run game was successful. And when I first read that, I was very dubious of it, but apparently there's a couple of confirmatory studies on that that say that just the act of play action on a standard down, not 3rd and 11, will elicit the response that you want. So our producer is saying, don't encourage Sark. But
for my rebuttal, I offer our first clip.
Thus, I refute.
Thus, I refute.
All right. Well, hey, whatever you want to say about Matthew Caldwell, you can't refute the fact that this guy comes in ice cold off the bench and he performs with ice in his veins. And there's a chance we're going to need that against Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Hey guys, my message today is short and sweet. Do you currently have a home with an interest rate of 6.5% or higher? You do? You got to call this guy. You got to call 832-557-1095. Why? Because there's a high probability this gentleman can refi you for free. What? There's a catch. That's insane. What's he going to do? Drain my home equity? No, none of that. Gabe Winslow is a mortgage broker, and that means he's going to shop your deal to 60 different lenders. He's going to get the best possible deal for you and for your situation, and that is going to give you the best rate, the best situation, the best deal, and he's going to be your friend because you're going to be able to refi with him again down the road when you have low interest rates happen again. Or if you're just looking for a house and you want the best possible mortgage guy in your corner, that's Gabe Winslow. Over 20 years in the industry, a former National Merit Scholar, a proud Texas grad. Guy's got a law degree. This guy, I don't know why he's doing mortgages, but let's take advantage of it while he is, because he loves it and he's damn good at it. Call him at 832-557-1095.
All right, Paul, it's time to talk defense, which had a rough start to this game. This is the second quarter. It's 2nd and 8, 12-19 on the clock on the Mississippi 19, and this guy is wide open.
I mean, if you're being hypercritical, you could say that guy's open. But in some ways, he's covered.
He is surrounded by Longhorn.
See? So he's
covered. How many guys is that? That's 7 guys. Septuple coverage. Like Shapen throwing into septuple coverage and getting away with it.
26 yards right here. Pretty easy throw and catch, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Jeff Lebby had absolutely zero difficulty getting Texas's zone defenders in the wrong spot and then just springing guys into wide open grass.
Yeah, this is a classic example of guys guarding grass.
Yeah. Now, some of them, I think, are trying to adhere to rules that will theoretically help them against something like this. But those rules fail them because obviously this guy has no one making a meaningful contest on this throw, or his positioning, or his route, or the throw itself. Easy pitch and catch over the middle.
As the great sociopath Anton Chigurh once remarked, of what use are your rules if your rules brought you to this?
Indeed.
Yeah, the reason we picked this clip is it's very emblematic of something that happened repeatedly in this game, which is Mississippi State throwing to wide open receivers in the Texas zone. And I want to point out that we're bringing 4. And I'd say bringing would be the word bringing's doing a lot of work there. This is one of those containment rushes. These guys aren't fighting really hard to get upfield. They're staying in their lane. They're not playing any line games. And in fact, we still give up a wide open window, even though we're doing that.
Well,
Blake Shapen is 5'11", Ian, and he's got a really significant injury history. He's never finished a college football season. And our solution is let's roll out the DJ Lagway game plan to a quarterback who has no interest in running. It's very odd.
Well, we forced him left there. If he had run, he would have been running right into the teeth of our defense there, Paul.
The teeth of our 4-man under zone. He would have felt the blow of Leona Lefau, and he would have known. He would have decimated him. Look at that. All right, folks, this is a pretty key time. It's second quarter, 2nd and 9. There's about 43 seconds on the clock. Ball's on the Texas 23. Mississippi State's only up by a field goal. So in this game situation, we really need to either hold them to a field goal or we need to try to get some pressure and get them out of field goal range, Ian. Those are your 2 options as a defensive coordinator. Instead, we run a little containment pass rush paired with press coverage that's not press coverage, Ian. This is one of my this is worse to me than watching a bad pull protection or a bad slide protection. It's squat, fake press coverage. He is not pressing right here, Ian. He is not. He barely got his left hand on Brennan Thompson's shoulder, and then he's allowing a release right up the sideline. Jelani McDonald is far too shallow to help over the top, and that's by the call. Jelani's not doing anything incorrect here. We have no chance. And I want you to notice that Brennan Thompson never even breaks past 3/4 speed to get this ball. In fact, he has to gear it down at the end to make sure he catches the touchdown. Also notice that as Blake Shapen takes this snap, he knows exactly where he's going. Literally by alignment, he knew where he was going with this football, and he knew it was going to be a touchdown. That's very, very frustrating.
This is actually the same exact play call as earlier, where the third guy runs a quick shallow, the next guy
also open.
Runs a crosser, and then one-on-ones outside. You can take that shot if you like them, which they did in this instance. And yeah, this is a tough scene. I thought the game was over on this play. I thought this is going to just be a drubbing
Yeah, I didn't have that belief because I'm not a quitter, but
Mm.
that's, a thing that about me that everyone needs to know. But look at that. Look at the decisiveness of Shapen. Like, he knows where he's going with the ball literally as he received it, right? He can't wait. Look at that. Like, there's no look off. Like, I'm going here because I know what's going to happen. And it's very frustrating. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, when Muhammad is in press, he's not in press coverage. He's in squat fake press coverage. I want you to notice that he's squatting here. He needs to attack this smaller guy and manhandle him and basically try to throw him out of bounds, right? He's going to allow a free clean release right up the sideline. It's exactly what you're taught not to do, but because he's in this positioning and he's actually not in true press coverage, I mean, this is a touchdown right here at the 10-yard line. Shapen knows.
He's really on his back feet pretty quickly.
Yes,
on his heels. And
so
then
in that situation, either press and actually get your hands on the guy, bail, like show press and bail, meaning quickly turn and run, or play off. But this ain't going to work. And it's another example of a different way in which Mississippi State really exploited our passing protection. Blake Shapen threw for 382 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, it's something to note. But what's interesting, Ian, is that when we blitzed Blake Shapen, it was a very different world for Mr. Shapen. When we blitzed Blake Shapen, he was 7 of 15 for 55 yards, and we sacked him 5 times.
All right, Paul, you know what time it is.
The walls are up.
Texas's defense figured this out. Fourth quarter, 3rd and 12, 8:48 left. Need stops. Got to score a lot of points to get back in this game. And Anthony Hill is going to get a Sergio Kindle on Taylor Potts level crushing with Blake Shapen. Let's get into the end zone, Cam, and you tell us just the level of domination that's occurring here.
So one of the things that happened, and I mentioned this with a little teaser statistic on the last highlight, when we blitzed, we utterly dominated Mississippi State. And you might say, well, but they hit us underneath and they hurt us and they couldn't get the ball off. Blake Shapen's small. His offensive line is unathletic and not well coordinated. And when we brought our athletes, they could not even block long enough to prevent us getting to Shapen before he could even get a window and try to throw the ball. And this is a great example. We're going to bring 7 here, I believe. And Anthony Hill is the key rusher, but you're also going to see great push from everyone. So this isn't just a blitz because you bring too many men. It's a successful blitz because everyone's getting push. Shapen just doesn't have a window. And then we've got good coverage outside. It's pretty simplified. We're basically manning up. And you're going to notice that he just doesn't have a place to go with the ball. Anthony Hill is going to crush him after literally just disregarding the running back. He's just like, no, you can't block me. And then just crushes Shapen. It's a very impressive play. When we blitzed, we utterly dominated them. When we didn't, Mississippi State carved us up.
Do you know what it looks like? It looks like PK happened upon some clips on the sideline of Sark sending 3 deep while Manning got buried. And he's like, huh. I wonder what that might look if I did that with Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons.
Well, I wrote in my postmortem on Inside Texas that desperation did the work of reason in our game plan.
Yeah.
And this is an example because Mississippi State averaged 6.8 yards per play and rolled all up and down the field the first 3 quarters. Actually, really the end of the first quarter to the beginning of the fourth quarter. After that, they had 4 possessions and we started blitzing. They had 4 possessions and they had negative yardage on those possessions. I think that tells the tale.
I've seen a number of Ohio State defenses that function like this, where they are just grabby outside. They have tons of huge athletes and they just blitz. And it has gotten them into trouble a lot of times in big games against good teams. But when they play like the rank and file of the Big Ten, they just overwhelm them just like this.
Yeah, there are times when you don't need to play a whiteboard game with the opponent. Sometimes you need to play the we are better than you and we're going to bludgeon you game. And this was one of those games. I kind of wish PK had blundered into this a little earlier. But hey, we would have been deprived of an amazing overtime cardiac arrest. Hey, y'all, we hope you enjoyed this deep dive All 22 film edition. We really appreciate your comments. We appreciate all your likes, your subscribes. Of course, we appreciate you subscribing at Inside Texas and joining the best Longhorn community. But we love the conversation we're having here. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like it. And we want to hear what you think in the comments. Ian, really appreciate your excellent analysis always. And if you guys love Ian, and we all love Ian, you can go read his excellent writing at Inside Texas. Join us there, and we'll see you. Hook 'em.